Hello everyone. So in this video I'll be doing a review on John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, or simply known as John Wick Chapter 3. So John Wick is Chapter 3 is a 2019 action thriller film. It is rated M18 for violence and for some use of coarse language. It was released on the 17th of May 2019 in the USA, and it has a runtime of 2 hours and 11 minutes. The director of the movie is Chad Stahelski, and the story was written by Derek Kolstad, and this movie was distributed by Lionsgate. So it was also made with a budget of 75 million US dollars. So I'll go into the details of the story, and then I'll give my thoughts on the movie. So John Wick is declared excommunicado, and so he has no uh, refuge in the Continental, or no services provided to him, and he also has several contracts placed on him available for any hitman or hitwoman to claim if they manage to kill him. So he is on the run, and he battles the hitman while on the run, and he knows that it is difficult for him to survive on his own, even though he is John Wick, a legendary hitman. But the contract to kill him has gone global, so the assassins are looking for him everywhere that where they know he is, and so there are assassins all over the world who want to kill him and claim the prize money. And so he visits an old friend, Sophia, in Morocco. So Sophia is played by Halle Berry, and he asks her for a favor to meet her old boss. And why he wants to meet her old boss is because her old boss is the one who can tell him where to find the elder. So the elder is the person who sits above the high table, and the high table is the one who has ordered his execution and placed the contracts on him. So the only way out for him is to find the elder and see if he can negotiate a deal to save himself. So Sophia initially refuses to help him, but John Wick has a marker. So a marker is a kind of a medallion where they bind to it by blood, and so that means John Wick has done a favor for Sophia, and they have recorded this using the marker, so that in case he needs help, she is bounded to it, and she has to help him. So Sophia does not want to help him, but she does to honor the marker. And Sophia leads John Wick to her old boss, and he tells them where John can find the elder, or rather where the elder will find John, because he says that the elder is not a person you can find, but a person who will find you. So John Wick is dropped off at the desert, and he's wandering around by himself, and until he eventually faints from the thirst and from the exhaustion, and he is brought by one of the people who work for the elder. He's brought to the elder, and he manages to negotiate with the elder, and the elder says that he can have his old life back if he once again commits to being a hitman. And the elder asks him, why do you still want to live? And he says that he wants to live to honor the memories of him and his ex-wife Helen, who has passed away due to illness. And the elder says that if you want to live, then you will have to commit to this and be a hitman again. And so he asks him to choose wisely, and John chooses to save himself and bind himself to the high table and serve the high table and to be a hitman again for the rest of his remaining life. And he severs his finger when offers his finger and the wedding ring, finger which has the wedding ring, to the elder, and the elder accepts his offering. And the elder also gives him a task to do, so that he will be free, so to speak. And the task is to kill Winston, the manager of the Continental. So the Continental is a hotel where we have seen in the last two movies. If you have seen John Wick Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, you know the Continental is a neutral ground where there is no business to be conducted. And and Winston is also kind of a friend to John Wick. So the elder offers him a proposal and asks him to kill Winston, so that he can have his all the contracts on his name cancelled, and he will have his old life back as a hitman, and he will serve the high table. So John Wick accepts, and he goes to find Winston at the hotel. And at the meantime, while this is before this is happening, also there is an adjudicator who hires a hitman and his crew to kill John Wick. So the hitman is a Japanese assassin and named Zero. And the adjudicator also gives Winston, the manager of the Continental, 7 days to abdicate, but he refuses. And also we have seen the Bowery King in John Wick Chapter 2. So the Bowery King is played by Lawrence Fishburne, and the adjudicator also visits the Bowery King. And the reason why is because the Bowery King has helped John Wick by giving him a weapon, or rather selling him a weapon, and giving him some directions, and also giving him some protection for some time while he was at the Bowery King's place. So they consider it an act of disobedience and against the high table, and the punishment for it was declared as 7 cuts. So the person who does the punishment is Zero, and he gives the Bowery King 7 cuts. And also, before he goes to the Bowery King, he also visits the Rosca Roma, and he visits one of it is kind of like a school, or say a school academy for the assassins. And from the dialogues we can guess that John Wick studied at this place during his younger years, and he was trained by this kind of academy. And so the lady there also helps him, and she is also given a punishment by the adjudicator. And her punishment is she reaches her palms. She puts her palms together, and she pledges her fealty to the high table. And Zero cuts through her both the palms, and so he puts the blade right through both the palms, and so the palms are dripping blood, and that is her punishment. And so back to the story of Winston. So the adjudicator also gives Winston, the manager, 7 days to abdicate, but he refuses to do so at the end of the time period. And when John Wick arrives, they also have a conversation, and so the conversation is held in what they call the administration lounge. I'm not sure why they call it the administration lounge, because when you look at it in the movie, it looks more like a kind of a museum, and art museum, because first of all there is a table, and there's kind of a art moving display being projected on the wall behind, and there are also like glass displays with stands like holding what do you call, like exhibitions, kind of exhibitions where you have kind of armors and those kind of stuff. So it looks more like a art museum. And Zero is also present in the hotel because he has chased John Wick until to the hotel, but since John Wick has arrived at the hotel, he is unable to do anything while they are still in the hotel. But he is waiting for his chance to kill John Wick. And so John Wick meets Winston, and they have a conversation, and Winston asks him, so what did the elder offer you? And he says that the elder said the task is to kill you. And so Winston asks whether do you want to do it, and John Wick says actually no, he does not want to kill Winston, who he kind of considers like a friend. And Winston also has helped him quite significantly, so he does not want to kill Winston. So what happens is the adjudicator calls for the high table henchman to come down to the Continental, and she also makes an order for the Continental's neutral status to be revoked, so that killing and conflicts will be allowed at the Continental. So the henchmen arrive at the Continental to kill Winston and John Wick. And here we see a firefight between John Wick, Sharon, who is the concierge, and the staff of the Continental. They battle against the high table's henchmen. And so there are a lot of battles being happening in the dark. And there are a lot of strobe lights scenes where the battles using strobe lights, or rather the environment has strobe lights. So this scene will be might not be suitable for photosensitive viewers. They have mentioned so in the Netflix the description while you're watching it. If you're watching it on Netflix, then you will see that the kind of disclaimer or warning at the top of the screen. So John Wick and the staff, Sharon and the rest of the staff, they managed to kill the henchmen, and John Wick arrives for the final battle in the administration lounge with Zero and two other henchmen. So first he battles, and the whole environment of this final fight is in the administration lounge. So it is kind of a glass, everything is glass. So I would guess that it is kind of the top level of the whole building. Maybe top 3 or 4, because there are several floors to this place. So I would guess that might be the top 3 or 4 floors of the Continental, and everything is glass. The surrounding is glass, so you can see outside, and it's transparent, so you can see the buildings around the Continental. So you can see the office building. There's office building just immediately opposite, and I think this is one of the iconic fight scenes in the John Wick series, John Wick franchise. And this is probably my favorite fight scene too, because I like the environment where the fight scene is being held in. Adds to the suspense and to the thrill, and it makes the action more fascinating to watch, in my opinion. So John Wick kills the two henchmen, or John Wick fights with the two henchmen, and he beats them, and he also manages to fight with Zero and kill Zero. And what happens is the adjudicator calls Winston. So while all the fighting is happening, Winston is in a kind of a safe environment where he is the one who he's sitting and having like a glass of wine and listening to music while all the fighting is happening. And so Charon and John Wick, they come to this safe to get the supply of guns. So he's surrounded by guns and all the equipment, and he's in a safe place. So he's in that place while all the fighting is happening, and there's also a telephone there. So the educator calls Vincent to ask for a parley or offer a parley, and Vincent agrees to the parley. So they meet at the very top of the Continental. so okay, so now seeing that this is the top of the building, the rooftop. So I guess the fighting is happening in maybe the middle or closer to the top, but yeah, it's either in the middle of the building, I guess, or closer to the top. But when watching the movie, I kind of felt that it might have been the top of the building, until I realized that there's a rooftop. So clearly, the fight scene is not happening at the top or close to. Maybe it's not the final floor there. I'm not too sure about that, but maybe it's the middle of the building, or maybe it's closer to the top. And so what they do is the adjudicator and Sharon and Winston, they all meet at the rooftop. And by this time the night has gone and it's already dawn, and so the sunlight is up, and it's early in the morning, maybe about 6 plus or 7 plus in the morning. And so what happens is the adjudicator asks for Vincent to recommit and pledge his fealty to the High Table, and he can stay at his place as the manager. So Vincent says that he has served for about 40 years, and he wants to continue to be the manager at this Continental. So the adjudicator asks him to pledge his fealty again to the High Table, which he does. And what happens is John Wick arrives after all the fighting and all the battles. He comes to the rooftop and he asks, so what is going on, what is happening? And what happens is Winston shoots John Wick several times, and John stumbles backwards and he falls from the building, and he falls to the ground and to the street below. So they assume that John Wick must be dead because he's been shot and he fell from the top of the building, and he landed on the street. But what happens is when the adjudicator goes down and they all go down, they find out that John Wick's body is not there. So somebody must have taken him, or he must have run away. And John Wick has actually been taken by one of the Bowery King's men. They found him on the street and they brought him to the Bowery King. So the Bowery King is, we don't know the location where he is, but it's in a dark place, kind of maybe a dungeon somewhere underground. And John Wick is brought to the Bowery King, and he's injured. He's been betrayed by Winston, the manager, and the Bowery King is also upset because of the punishment that he has been given by the adjudicator and the High Table. So the Bowery King is talking, and he is asking John Wick whether he feels angry, because he says that he feels angry because of what has happened. And John Wick also says that he is angry, and he actually asks John Wick. He says that Bowery King says that I am pissed. Are you pissed, John Wick? And John Wick just answers yeah. So they agree to join forces against the High Table. That is the kind of agreement, and so the movie ends there. And the following will be what happens next will be in John Wick Chapter 4. So this is the ending of the movie, and so first I will talk about the commercial success of John Wick. So John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. So John Wick Chapter 3 grossed $327.7 million US dollars at the box office, so it was a hugely profitable venture, and both critically and commercially it received a lot of praise for the fight scenes and for the storyline, and especially for the cinematography and for the fight scenes. And for me, I would say that the storyline has gone to the next level. So every chapter rather, the storyline is progressing and going deeper, or rather going higher, and that's the way to do it properly. So that has contributed to the success of the John Wick series. So every chapter the story keeps on progressing, and it makes you involved and interested to find out what is going to happen next. And as usual, like the other two movies, there is great cinematography in the movie, and the action sequences, the fight sequences are excellently choreographed and executed, and also they managed to top the previous movie. So each movie manages to top the previous movie in both terms of the action and the fight sequences, and in terms of how the storyline progresses, and also in terms of I would say, in terms of the storyline and the action sequences, they managed to keep on. Each movie manages to top the previous movie, so it keeps on becoming bigger and bigger. And so as an audience watching the movie, our expectations are also increasing with each movie, and that is makes us very much interested in the whole franchise and the series. And John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum has excellent fight sequences, action sequences, good storyline, and good cinematography. And if you're a lover of action, you'll definitely like this movie, and I would say you'll probably enjoy the last fight scene the most. Probably the firefight in the Continental, and also the last fight scene between John Wick and Zero and his henchmen. I would say that is kind of the highlight of the movie for me. Anyway, so if you're a lover of action, then you'll definitely want to check out John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. So for me, I will give it a rating of 9 out of 10, as it managed to both satisfy the expectations that I had when I watched both. So I've watched both the movies, John Wick Chapter 1 and John Wick Chapter 2, and so it managed to satisfy the expectations of what I had in mind, and also maybe give a little more than expected. So I'll give John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum 9 out of 10. And John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum is streaming on Netflix. If you want to watch or stream it, you can check it out on Netflix. So what do you think about John Wick Chapter 3? Have you already watched the movie? If you have watched the movie, then do let me know what you think of the movie in the comments. And also, if you have any other comments, feel free to if you have any other suggestions or feedback, you can feel free to leave them in the comments too. And as always, thank you for watching, and until the next video, take care and goodbye.